we try to hide it because we're like, we have to. We've got children. We have to get on with things. And although inside I was feeling I can't do this, I physically can't do this, I was dropping stuff on the floor. And in the end, I couldn't cook because I was literally a hazard to myself. And I was like, this has got to change. I've got to find out what's wrong. And then I started researching into things because I needed to be better. It's not me. It really affects your mental health when you think you're just going silly.
How did that sort of affect you sort of within your family life?
Well, because you couldn't see it, it was, some of the family were like, there's nothing wrong with you. You know, you can tell that you're like, oh, well, I'm really sorry, I can't do that today. I physically can't get off the sofa. Can anyone take me to work? Can anyone take this? Can anyone do that? And I just felt like no one believed me. Apart from my boss, who is a bit older than me, my old boss, she knew there was something wrong with me because I worked with her every day, and she noticed the decline in how I was. She thought that I'd come home from an appointment and my husband would go, how'd you get on? Well, I didn't get anywhere. What do you mean you didn't get anywhere? It won't help me. What do you mean they won't help you? I was like, well, my bloods are right, so they say. It wasn't till one of the chronic fatigue ladies as well messaged, the only way I got to the menopause lady was through the chronic fatigue team, because she wanted my tests done at hospital to be more precise. And then when they was borderline, I managed to get an appointment with the menopause lady at Holt. I wouldn't have got one if not. They wouldn't give me one because I'm not old enough, they reckon.
And do you mind me asking how old you are?
I'm 47. Well, when it all started was about 3 or 4 years. Probably before I became really bad. It was probably the worst cases were about 4 years. So 43.
43, yeah. So I mean, and even though there's no such thing as too young, you know, mid-40s is a really common age.
You know, at the beginning, they told me that, no, definitely not, because I'm too young. Definitely not. Under no circumstances, because I'd said to them, is it this? No, definitely not.
Wow.
I had to fight for a blood test first, because they now only give blood tests if they think that's needed on the doctor's discretion. I mean, why are these not educated? Why are the doctors not educated?
I mean, there's probably many women listening thinking, you know, yeah, that's me. I get many women on my TikTok saying the same things, that either they can't get a blood test or that blood, which are often inaccurate because our hormones are fluctuating.
Well, I went to the doctors and they done blood tests. Oh no, you're fine. You're not in perimenopause. You're in our range. Well, our range from that is sort of like 0 to 300. I said I'm suffering with all the, you know, chronic fatigue. So I had one doctor say, well, go home and do things slower. I was like, go home and do things slower? I said, how do I drive slower than actually doing 5 mile an hour to 10 mile an hour is no different? And I was like, what? And I'd come out of there I felt like I was hitting my head against a wall, because do things slower. Like, you know, they just wanted pills. They pumped pills into me, or tried to pump pills into me, left, right and centre. And they basically just left me and said, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do.
What did they offer you?
They offered me, God, my memory is really good.
You're on the right show.
So they offered me, I was on pregabalin to begin with, and then I had to come off that, and that was the worst thing in history. I would never tell anyone to go on to that. The withdrawal effects from that were horrific.
Wow, you were offered that?
Yeah, pregabalin. I was then offered the sleep one.
Amitriptyline?
Yeah, amitriptyline for sleeping, because I couldn't sleep. So they done a sleep and apnea test. They offered me the sleep pills, and I was like, no. And then they offered me, so this is quite not hilarious really, they offered me HRT pills, but I can't actually take the progesterone. I think I can't.
Eugestin?
I can't take the one that makes me feel sick. Makes me feel sick a lot of the time.
Right.
And it was on my notes because I couldn't have any of the pills, so I had to have the coil all the time. So they then offered me these pills for HRT, and I went to an HRT nurse, and I said, look, you need to look, I've had lumps, I've got cysts in my chest, you know, our family's full of cysts. I can't have that with them because I've already spoken to the breast cancer awareness group, and they actually suggest that I don't take that because it could affect me. I said, so I need something different, and they wouldn't offer me anything else.
Just unfortunately, it's a bit of a postcode lottery as well. I'm quite lucky. I've got a GP at my practice who is women. In fact, there's 2 that are women's health trained. Yeah. So you can actually have that conversation. It's
going to be stages coming into the system, like anything. You know, nothing can be trained overnight.
No, and I think it's good that some of the younger ones coming in want to learn. I think they've obviously, while training, been around the Davina McCalls and things like that. So
that's what I was going to say. They've obviously seen that kind of thing, and almost probably seen their parents suffer.
Yeah.
Because they're at the age that would understand it, and if they're training in doctors, then they would know. Definitely, yeah.
And we're We're definitely talking about it more, which is good, because it just breaks that stigma. And
so many of my friends that I've met at the events that I do, you know, they've taught me things like meditation. They've taught me how to calm down and just chill, and you know, and they're all going through the same. You know, we're all women actually going through near enough the same thing, all of us, and we've all helped each other. So it's really good to have that kind of support.